and welcome to a very snowy Buckle Etive Moor in Glencore, and the end of this film series. Yes, I said end. This has been a 5-day adventure into Scotland, and to find out where I'm doing and where I'm going, you'll have to go back 5 days. And hello. As you can probably guess, I'm no longer in England, I'm indeed in Scotland. But where am I heading? Well, as I come up to the outskirts of Edinburgh, you may be thinking, ooh, is that this destination? No. But where is? Well, for that, you'll have to wait and see. But for now, just sit back and enjoy the scenery.
Yes, scenery that includes the Forth Road Bridge and the Forth Rail Bridge in the background.
Now, as we leave Perth behind, the scenery really starts to get interesting.
True Scottish scenery, from the forests on the hills to the looming Grampian Mountains. Amazing.
Well, it's now 10 to 7, the light is fading, and that's the major part of the road trip done. But what's next? Well, you'll have to wait till the morning to find out.
The next morning fetches a glorious dawn over a glorious bay. But where is it?
And a good morning to you from this roadside verge. Now you're probably thinking, where is he now? Well, just over that hill there is Inverness in Scotland, and the car is currently pointing south towards Inverness. So you're probably thinking, oh, is that where he's heading? No. For today, I head north along the start of the North Coast 500.
For anyone confused by the term North Coast 500, it's a road trip of 500 miles around the very north of Scotland, showcasing the very best of this rugged landscape. Obviously, with it being a road trip, there is a fair amount of driving involved, although I will try to keep this to a minimum, but at the same time, the scenery from the roads can be truly amazing.
And for our first stop, welcome to Dornoch Beach.
Dornoch Beach. It is truly stunning. Mile upon mile of golden sand. as well as a few rocky outcrops just thrown into the mix. And the images here are amazing. Even the wildlife is shouting about the scenery. And the views in the distance are truly spectacular.
Yes, it is gorgeous here. But we must move on.
Back to the car and back on the road. As we head north along the very eastern coast of Scotland, past gorgeous villages and wide expansive plains, where will I be heading next?
And with John O'Groats just round the corner, it's worthwhile stopping to have a quick look at Duncansby Stacks.
Duncansby Stacks. 2 stacks sticking out into the sea. Wild, rugged, and amazing. And the images here are amazing. Talk about a leap of faith. And one of the stacks on its own. True Scotland.
Very dramatic and well worth a detour. Now back to the car. And whilst I was in the area, I thought, why not do it? So welcome to Great Britain's most northerly point, which isn't John O'Groats. It's Dunnet Head, which is about 5 miles further along the coast. And it is amazing.
And the clifftop scenery here is truly outstanding. And as I make my way to the viewpoint on the top of Dunnet Head, looking across to the village of John O'Groats in the distance. And now to the scenery I have yet to explore. So back on the road I go, now heading west along many single track roads, which are a common feature of this road trip. But at the same time, the scenery around is still stunning.
Now, some of you may be wondering, thinking, hang on, he hasn't shown any accommodation yet. How's he going to do this North Coast 500? Is he sleeping in hostels or something? Well, no, because I'm way too cheap for that. So, you might have actually noticed, yes, there seems to be some kind of poor effort of a curtain up across the back windows. And this car often gets known as Club VW when I'm at work. Well, it's not a club at the moment, because it's been converted into a small camper van for one. I've got my single bed here, which is 2 quilts folded over, and there is a insulating foam underneath as well. But that's quite long enough for me. I can get full stretch. In the corner there, I've got an electric cool box. Obviously, it only runs when the engine's running, but it's enough. I've got my cutlery, crockery, plates, dried food in there. In here, I've got clothing. In here, I've got my coats, my hiking bag. I've got my toiletries and toothpaste stuff in a small box up there. And basically, enough for me for 5 days. In the rear passenger footwell, I've got enough water to last me quite a while. I think I've only just started on the first bottle there, so that should be no problem. And in the rear drivers, I've got some fresh fruit and extra blankets in case it gets cold. And that is it. So, with the sun setting, I'm going to head in for the night, because as the sun sets, the midges come out. And I can already sense they want to attack me. And I don't want that. So for now, I would say good night.
The next morning is a very early start. As I make my way to my final destination, I am excited to see what I can find there. But where am I?
Now, people will have noticed I seem to have a lot of videos of the North Pennines, and I seem to have some affinity for going across blanket bogs and walking through peat hags and groffs, things like that. Well, the North Pennines is England's largest area of blanket bog, but it's not the UK's. That honour belongs to here. Welcome to the Flow Country.
Here there are peat bogs on a truly massive scale. And the views from the viewing station are amazing. Mile upon mile of peat bog.
Now, I came here this morning, hoping for an early morning sunrise, a nice golden red sky, red dawn, reflecting off the pools, giving a nice bit of colour, and it didn't happen. Not at all. Never mind, I'm here, and I'm going to take some images.
And as I leave Forcenard Flows, deep in the Flow Country in Sutherland, it's time for me to move on to my next destination. It's back on the road, and just a short drive to my next stop for a nice morning walk along Strathy Bay. Again, pure golden sand, and I am the only one here. With gorgeous images, such as this rock coming out of the sand, and a rather strange fault line, which makes for a gorgeous image. Patterns in the sand, amazing. And lastly, the sheep in Scotland are definitely not scared. And with the morning walk over at Strathy Bay, it's time for me to head back to the car and back on the road for more road trip. The weather slowly getting brighter as I make my way to my next destination.
Seeing as I'm in the Highlands, it'd be unfair not to do a mountain or two.
And leaving the road behind, I begin the steep ascent up this mountain. Past gorgeous waterfalls cascading down from the summits. And with gaining altitude, the views really start to impress. All the while, the mountain looking more and more challenging. But it is a challenge I've set, and I must conquer it. And as I start to approach the summit, the views are unbelievable.
And finally, welcome to the summit of Ben Hope, the most northerly Munro in Scotland.
And welcome to the summit of Ben Hope and the Highlands of Scotland. The lochs and mountains of Sutherland. And the views to the west over Loch Hope.
And with the chills starting to come in, it's time to leave the summit of Ben Hope and make a slow return back to our starting point at the car.
As I hike along, close to this edge, the scenery is still impressive. But at the same time, don't get too close, for the drop is quite a large one. but the views are still amazing. One cannot fail to be amazed at the scenery in this gorgeous area. And with the sun starting to set in the golden hour, I am thoroughly enjoying this hike.
And that's Ben Hope done. It's been a challenge, it has. Enjoyed it. It's been a bit hazy for photos and images, but still enjoyed it. So now it's time to chill out, relax, and see what tomorrow brings.